Hello, podcasters. Welcome to another episode of the Team TaylorMade Podcast, coming to you from Carlsbad, California, at the Kingdom. For our returning listeners, welcome back, and for anyone new, thanks for joining us. My name's Chris Trott, and I work out on the PGA Tour, servicing the greatest players in the game for all their equipment needs. Today, I'm joined by a former Major League Baseball player who was part of the World Series championship-winning Boston Red Sox team in 2004, and since retiring in 2010, he's successfully transitioned into the media world and is the current analyst on the MLB Network, and he also co-hosts Intentional Talk. Kevin Millar, welcome to the podcast and welcome to the Kingdom.
Chrissy, thank you, man. I didn't want to break the news to you guys, but I think I'm moving here. So I'm going to stay right in this office for life because this is like heaven.
Well, this office as well. I mean, if you look at some of the pictures around here, it is pretty much heaven. I mean, we've got Pebble and we've got Augusta. Let's kick this off. Have you played either of those places yet?
Yes. So Pebble I've played. We used to play in this World Series of golf every December. I think they just kind of went off last week, but I didn't go the last few years. But I tell you what, you can't beat that place when you get a chance to play Spyglass and Pebble and Spanish Bay and all that stuff. But I will tell you this, Augusta, I got invited 2 years ago, and I was always told you can't ask to play it. Because that's like a no-no. I'm like, what? What do you mean you can't ask to play Augusta? So like, all right, whatever. And the more I started getting into golf because, once I was done playing in 2010, I got into golf. So, I didn't want to play Augusta when you have no idea how to golf. That would be kind of weird. So 2 years ago, I got invited from a buddy of mine out of New York. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was more than you think. Because I didn't know if it was going to be stuffy. You couldn't do anything. Some of these places you go in, it's like hats off, shoes off. You don't know what the rules are.
What time of year was it?
This was in, man, that's a great question. I don't know. It's May?
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yeah. So premium condition just after Augusta.
Yes. It was 2 weeks
condition.
after Augusta. You're exactly right. So, end of April maybe. But we went out there, and I'll tell you right now, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome and better than you thought.
What about Amen Corner? How did you go through there?
You know what? I had to birdie 18. And that was the year that Sergio, I think, won.
Yeah.
And that putt he had to make right to left in 18.
Yeah.
Basically, I had the same putt, so it was kind of cool. And so I hit a good wedge in there and ended up birdieing 18 to shoot 79 from the members' tees.
That's
awesome. We weren't the big boy tees, but it was kind of cool. I was like, oh, man, this is cool.
Now, we say you hit wedge in there, so I had a look out there with Perry, who was giving you a fit in, one of our fitters here at the Kingdom. You got some serious speed, 170 ball speed, so I can see why you're hitting wedge into the last. I mean, you must, if you're playing members' tees and all these celebrity events that you're playing in at these golf courses, you got to be peppering wedges into a lot of holes with that sort of speed, right?
It's funny because you struggle. Like most of the time, the wood side of it is my strength. I can hit my driver kind of where I want to and decently far. It's the rest of the stuff. It's learning how to get the ball in the hole. But there's a lot of wedge, a lot of 9 irons, a lot of situations like that. I think the struggles come on the par threes at 195, the 210, then it gets a little bit squirrely out there.
So how much about this fitting process do you understand in terms of looking at your numbers? Because straight away, I literally just had a snapshot, but I think what you're going to get in your next set is going to massively change that. What do you understand when you look at a TrackMan and you hit balls down the range here at the Kingdom about your numbers? Did anything jump out at you that changed today before you came into the fitting and when you left?
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking about, everything's, you don't want spin, but yet you do want spin with your irons because my irons that I'm hitting now, were a great iron. It's a 790, and I think the better you start getting, he was explaining to me, is that you want to have a little softer iron. You want more spin on your irons. You don't want to hit a 6 iron, 220 and have it roll, into trouble. Most of the stuff in golf, you keep the course in front of you, you're going to survive. And I think sometimes that was my problem. I don't have a whole lot of spin, thin iron play, and the next thing you know, it's bouncing in the rough. But today, it was interesting. You don't want to get up there and have a 6 iron at 26 degrees. So he actually bent it back to 31 degrees, using an example.
Yep.
And then we went back to 29 degrees. But you saw the difference, and you're absolutely able to feel it. And I think that's, we don't have knowledge. Like amateurs that love golf, we get out there, you grab a set of clubs, and you're like, okay, Tommy. But to actually come out here and see and understand what it's doing, because that's the way it was in baseball. You got to figure it out.
You've passed all of the equipment questions immediately. Well done. 10 out of 10.
Thank you so much.
I mean, you even listed the 6 iron loss. Fantastic. So you find yourself here in San Diego. What's brought you down to San Diego? What's on the agenda? Why? How did you, other than coming here, and I know you've been frothing about coming, the boys have been telling me you've been listing it on your shows, but what brought you here? Is there any other business you're in town for?
I am. So Tyler Brett, my buddy, my new favorite person in the world.
Everyone's.
Okay. I almost cried on the plane. I was taking off last night. We had a 4.5 hour delay, and basically we got in, but we got the winter meetings are here.
Okay.
And so we all root for Major League Baseball winter meetings being great places, right? Sometimes it's in D.C. at this time of the year. It's not great. We've had Nashville, which is great, but San Diego, this is where you want the All-Star game. This is where you want the winter meetings. This is where you want the World Series. So I'm hoping for the Padres to get good. But we're here for the winter meetings, and it's really a unique situation because being as a player, you don't know any of this stuff goes on.
Yeah.
Then you work on this side of it, and you actually have a job, and you're sitting here going now every agent, every owner, every front office guy, and all these meetings are going on, and they're doing multi-million-dollar deals over a couple vodkas and some steak dinners. I'm like, this is amazing.
Why wasn't I in this year?
Yeah, now I get it. We're arguing over $1 million over 3 vodkas and a big old filet. But yeah, it's neat to see everybody involved in baseball's here. Even the equipment guys, the clubhouse guys. They're trying to get new product. They're trying to get new helmets. We're trying to make it safer. So it's that constant thing. But that's what we're here for.
Okay, cool. And it's all admin for the following season. I'm obviously, as you can tell from my accent, like baseball is not a primary game for me. So it's all admin. It's all getting everything planned as we get going here, or how's it? What exactly are these winter meetings?
Yeah, it's a great question. Nobody really knows, other than it might be an excuse to go out with the boys, and act like you're really busy. These front office guys, a lot of them are my buddies, and they'll have their 8 or 10 cronies, and next thing you know, they got a big old steak dinner planned because we're going to talk about we need some pitching help. We need a 4-hole hitter, which would be the middle of the lineup guy. But it really is easier to negotiate contracts when you have every team in the same building, right?
Okay,
Instead of flying to New York, if you want to sign with the Yankees, for instance, if you're a free agent, you have to fly to New York, and then you're going to go check out Chicago, and then we're going to have to fly to L.A. right here because everybody's in the same spot.
Okay, interesting. Now, you put in different towns there. Looking over your career, you traveled to a lot of different towns, but I think you may have said in this podcast already, golf didn't come until later in life, or did you capitalize on going to Florida, Baltimore, Boston, Toronto, all these places? Were you playing any golf during your career?
No, if I had one regret, it's I didn't play golf while I played. I mean, I look at guys like John Smoltz. I always tell him, I'll trade you my Rolodex. He's got every PGA pro in his phone. I said, I'll give you Affleck and all these guys that, these celebrity guys that they're fans of the Red Sox, right? Or you go play for the Cubs, you might meet Bill Murray and those guys. You go play there's always celebrities that are fans of your sport. John Smoltz did it right. He's got every single pro shop, every course in his phone. For instance, I'll give you an example. We're in the World Series in Kansas City, okay, a couple years ago. It's the Giants in Kansas City. And he's like, hey, we're going to go golfing. He's like my golf. He loves golf as much as I do.
He sounds like a good hookup to have.
Oh, he's a golf groupie. I'm a golf groupie. He's a golf groupie, but he's really good at golf. But the point is, we end up in this 30 miles outside the city in Kansas City. It's like Augusta. I'm like, how do you know this place?
Yeah.
But I mean, the little courses that are all over this country, it's what really is intriguing because there's so many just plush spots, but John Smoltz is the man that way.
So have you played, I have to ask it because it's coming up in my mind, and the passion for golf you've got is just oozing out of you. Have you played much in Europe? Have you managed to get any links golf in, St. Andrews
Never.
or anywhere like that? I mean,
I haven't been there yet.
That's a trip. If in your golfing development, if it's only really come on since 2010, you got to make that trip. Get the boys, get over there, some links golf, especially now with this new spin you got in these irons. You're just going to be flighting them like Tiger.
See, I went to Nova Scotia. We're trying to do a golf trip every year with some boys, right?
Yeah.
Went to Nova Scotia and played Cabot. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was the closest link style as you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's like you got one course that was almost like Pebble.
Yeah.
Against the water, and you got the hills, and then you got that link style that was it was pretty amazing to kind of see how that works.
Yeah.
And you can actually putt from about 50 yards out.
100%. So you mentioned our man Tyler Brett here. He helps out with all the podcasts and puts these great podcasts together for the Team TaylorMade folks to listen to. He is also a Yankees fan.
I know.
And we have to go there.
Can we get security, guys? Yeah, they're escorting him out of here right now.
Exactly. We have to go there, and he's written me a beautiful brief here, which I feel like I'm going to pain him to read through it. But we want to hear and talk about 2004, going back to winning 4 in a row and then the World Series. 1918, Boston hadn't won anything. I actually also spoke to Paul Demkowski, who does wedge work for Tiger and works with Mike Taylor on irons for Tiger and stuff. He's a Boston guy. So when he knew you were in here, he gave me some insight. And he's like, wow, you got to get on this. Guys want to hear. Talk us through how that went down and what it meant to be in Boston around there and to be part of that great city when they went on and were so successful.
You know what? It was remarkable. I loved that rivalry back then, and I know, Tyler probably could sit back as a Yankee fan. The Red Sox-Yankee rivalry back in 03, 04, 05, it was kind of what it's about. It seems like we got in a fight every other series. I always joked around because they were the tall, good-looking. They looked like Tyler, rich, just handsome. You had Jeter, Giambi, Sheffield, A-Rod, whoever you want to say, Bernie Williams. And then you had the Red Sox come in. It was like Bill Miller, Orlando Cabrera, Mark Bellhorn, Kevin Millar, Jason Varitek, some bad body, just kind of normal guys. But it's what made the rivalry great, because we matched up here and there, superstar-wise. We had the Pedro Martinez's and the Schillings and Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz turned into a star. But you looked at the Yankees. It was the mighty Yankees. In that 2004 season, it never happened in any sport, being down 3 games in a 7-game series. And basically, we were down 3 games in a 7-game series, so we had to win 4 straight. And it was remarkable of how that happened.
Just reading the paragraph has inspired me to go back and find out and learn about it, because baseball's a whole new game for me, being from England, but I'm inspired just to hear about it and read about it. But you talk about this rivalry, and it sounds like you played off being the underdog. Was that something that was discussed in the locker room? Like, boys, we're the underdog. They're the New York Yankees. Boston's a major team. I get it. But did you play on that? Because we talk about it with kids sometimes, and AJGA kids, and who's the scrappy fighter one? Was that something that you tried to use as team advantage?
Yeah, what's great is sports, right? You have about 2 or 3 superstars per team, let's just say, a superstar here and there. Yep. And then you got a 25-man roster, so you have 23 guys that got to fill out that roster, right? Darn good ball players, darn good golfers. I mean, how many golfers are on the web.com that you're talking about a 10-foot putt is the difference from being on a Learjet making $40 million or sitting over, grinding out $65,000 the web.com tour having to win, right?
Yep.
That's kind of like baseball. You have your couple stars, but you just have a group of guys that you got to figure this out. What's your strength? Who are you? What's your identity? You hear that, right? Did we hit the ball at the ballpark? Are we a fast team? Do we pitch? And I think we kind of did take on the underdog with the Yankees because it was just they were all making $15 to $25 million a year. And, our average salary, in the infield is probably $1.5 million to $2 million. And, it was just so you knew that we were the underdogs. No one's going to say, hey, Kevin Millar's better than Jason Giambi. Yeah, I get that. And no one's going to say Billy Miller is better than Alex Rodriguez. But Billy Miller was a batting title champion in 2003.
Yeah.
And you probably would have never known that. But this guy won the hit 9th for us. So we had that underdog feel. I think because we had that normalcy about us that we were at the bars and there was no VIP limos or Learjets. It was kind of like we were guys. We were going to go after the game and have a beer and mingle with the fans.
Now, you were also bringing a lot behind the game. I get it. On the field, you did your thing, but it's also well written. And again, talking to the lads around here, what you brought to the team was massive. Did you recognize that? Did you play on that? Did you realize when you go to a game how you get everyone together to hustle and get after this? That's a big part of me as a player.
Yeah, I leadership's a big deal, right? I was more of a vocal leader.
Did you turn it on though, or was it there every time you went?
It's kind of who I was. I've always been. I was never drafted. So I was always kind of the underdog role anyways, and to try to make the big leagues as an undrafted player is not easy because, financially, if you and I own a team and we got, Tyler, we give him $1 million, and then we got Tom over here that signed for $500, we want the $1 million player to succeed because that's the business side of it, right?
I get it.
So you have a longer noose, I like to say, but when you're an undrafted player, you're an underdog. You're having to battle all these first-rounders all the way through, and I think that gave me the appreciation that every day I was in the big leagues, I appreciated it. And I wanted everybody to understand that, even the great guys. I want you to understand that this is an honor and this is you're blessed to be here and take care of the guys around you, the clubhouse kids, because you get to a point where, money brings power and then we become a little cooler than the rest of the people. And you forget that that's not the case. It's kind of who you are. Like, take away salaries, but who are you as a person? I don't think we do that enough as society. It's like, how's this guy? Where are you from? What are you doing? Because it's so much, we're in our own little worlds and we're on our own devices. But I was always kind of just, it was always that way because I had to kind of fight for playing time, and I had to fight to get there, and I had to fight to stay there. And, you still just, you couldn't run. I always joked around. I couldn't run, field, hit, or throw. It's the 5 tools they judge you on. But I always said they need a 6th tool, which is your heart, and that's the toughest one to judge, right? Because you can have a 5'7" guy or 5'6" like Jose Altuve, who's an MVP, and then you can have a guy like Aaron Judge, who's 6'7", 9", just beautiful man. So that's what makes the sport of baseball amazing, and golf.
You just can't measure it, can you? It's the same across everything. You're just, in these sports, that's what we keep seeing, you can't measure it. So on that, we know that through social and the world it is. We know you're a parent, we know your kids are into sports, and you're obviously around, and kids are impressionable, as we all are. Want to hear your thoughts on a great career. What do you say to those younger kids coming into sports, be it golf, baseball, soccer, football? What do you say to them? Like, how do you box? Is there something that we can package up to help them be the best? Because some of these kids have got such great aspirations, as we all did when we were younger, and that you've listed the 5 things, but then you've listed, hey, heart is one you can't measure. What do you say to these kids to give them something for the future to achieve what they want to do?
I always tell kids and high school kids, like, what are you doing when coach isn't watching? Okay? We can all line up and do sprints and do 10 sprints, and you can be first and all that stuff. But what are you doing when coach isn't watching? I always tell my kids, I got a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, actually 13 and 14 now. But I said, do 25 push-ups before you go to bed. Just knock out 20, 25. Get your grips. Get your grip strength. But do stuff to make you better. So love it. Believe in yourself. I don't care. Scouts are going to tell you it's easy to say, hey, I compare him to Tiger Woods, but there's only one Tiger Woods. There's only one, Alex Rodriguez. There's only one Barry Bonds. You can't get compared to stars. It just believe in yourself, and if you want to play and make it, you can. Because there's many times you're told you can't do it, right? But you keep plugging away, and it just takes one break, and life's about timing. So I think that's, I always tell kids, you can do whatever you want, but what are you doing when the coach isn't watching, or mom and dad isn't watching? Do you want it, or do you? I lived it. I slept it. I ate it. I wanted to play in the big leagues my whole life. So everybody always says, what are you going to do if it doesn't work out? I'm going to play in the big leagues. But what are you going to do? I mean, the odds of that, I'm going to play in the big leagues. So it was kind of, I didn't know what I was going to do. I might have been a fireman afterwards. I don't know. But I know I wanted to play Major League Baseball because I love the sport. I love the game. And, that's just, I tell kids, just work, man. Work. And if you want to do it, you can do it. You have all of the knowledge to learn and know these days in all sports. It's just a matter of, some kids think that, Daddy will get me there. Mommy will get me there. Everything's select. That's cute. But at the end of the day, do you want it? And I think that every kid can answer that question by themselves.
What do you make about, that's awesome, interesting stuff. What do you make about multiple sports and kids playing? Should they specialize early? And then what do you make about participation trophies and making kids soft?
That's the big, hey, we're softer than hummus now as a society. That's just the way it is. You can't say anything. You can't joke anymore. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to offend somebody. At the end of the day, play every sport. This whole specialized stuff, it drives me nuts because I grew up playing every sport. I stunk at basketball, but I wanted to play with my buddies, I was a terrible quarterback in high school. I played baseball. I never hit a home run until I was a junior in high school over the fence. So Mark Kotze, who's from San Diego here, was an undrafted kid at a high school, never drafted, but then 3 years later at Cal State Fullerton was number 1 pick for the Florida Marlins. Things change. We all mature differently, right? But go play everything. You don't even know what you like at 10. Dad thinks you're going to play on the PGA at 10. He's got swing coaches going on, and that's great. But he should also play baseball. He should be in basketball, soccer. Swimming. So I'm all for. I think sports are great for kids. I think swimming or whatever it is, it just makes you better for that sport.
Well, but winning and stuff like that, and it's sometimes I'll be honest, it's sometimes a conversation in our house. My kids are super young, but sport, we see so many athletes come here. Winning is important, right? Do you push that on youngsters, or do you say, hey, just have fun?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't yet. Like I said, I have a 14-year-old now that's now they're in 8th grade, and then I have a 7th grader. There's that fine line, right? As dads, and we're all, we got to win, and this is it, blah, blah. Okay, easy there, Tommy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're wanting to go get pizza and hang out, and have a party like I was and like y'all were. So there's that fine line. I always say, I want to see a vein in their arm. I want to see them get like one little whisker before you really have to start teaching them. Like, hey, let's go. So right now you're trying to teach the fundamentals of be a good teammate, understand how to fail, because that's the other thing we don't teach. How do you fail, right? How do you hit a shank? How do you hit it one out of bounds? The next shot's as important as that shot you just tanked. And baseball, you fail a lot. You get out 350 times a year in 500 at bats. So I'm going to make 150 left-hand turns, but I'm going to get out 350 times. So we don't teach kids how to fail. So mentally, they're not ready to fail. They don't know how to fail at 13 and 14. They're going to cry, or they're going to, so you're teaching them, like, no. That's part of the game. You're going to strike out 5 times. You're going to make errors. You're going to hit a home run. It's golf, right? You're going to birdie. You're going to double. How do you get back on the tracks? And I think learning how to fail, understanding how to fail, not that you want to, but you got to know how to. You got to know how to fail and handle it with class, so you're as good as you are that next shot or that next at bat.
This media career that you have, it's clear that you can communicate fantastically well. How did that transition in the sport, and at what point did that become something in your eyes that you're like, yeah, maybe that firefighter career I'm talking about, maybe that wasn't the one, maybe the media is the way to go?
The network wasn't
Was it the
launched.
Steak dinners and the vodkas that you were like, screw it, I hear about them, I'm going for it.
I'm in the front office now. No, it's funny because the network launched in 2009, and 10 was the first year, and I got released in 2010 by the Cubs, so I didn't know anything about television. But we didn't have that. We had ESPN. We'd watch Peter Gammon sit back, and hopefully they showed your double that, mom and dad could see it. Now it's like every game, every highlight, every video. So it's been fun. It's a great transition. My thing, my show, I could be myself. I don't have to be in a suit and tie. I can talk the game. So I bring a little bit of the clubhouse feel to television.
Did you have any training?
No. I was terrible learning about it. I'm still bad at asking questions because we've always been interviewed. So I still struggle when I have players on, which our show we have one on every day, to ask the questions, because you kind of like, I've always been interviewed. And so to learn how to ask the questions and get out and listen, because they might give you your second questions instead of always thinking, oh my God, what am I going to ask next? Oh my God, okay. How was the game? Oh, good. So it takes some time to understand, like, no, just let them talk, and then they'll give you another, your next question. But I always used to panic on asking players, like, with the microphone. I'm like, oh God, I don't even know how to do this.
Because you just ad lib. Have you ever been overwhelmed by a situation and found yourself having to return to the mental process you might have gone through in a World Series clutch situation to deal with the pressure of that? Has your sporting experience helped you in a media situation?
Yeah, I think, we talked about failure, and I think, a lot of years in the minor leagues, and I was lucky enough to play, 11 years in the big leagues, 12 years in the big leagues. I always say 12 minus because I think it was like 11 plus, but it sounds better when you say 12. But there's a lot of stuff there that you learn from, right? And now you're a young man in life. So now, yeah, there's some adversity that goes on in television or whatever it is, or, the interview wasn't great or the show wasn't great, but it's like, okay, that's okay. Because that's life.
Yeah.
You wake up one day, you feel great, right? You go out and shoot 70 and you feel great. Next day you go to bed, you shoot 81. You're like, wait, same guy, same course, but there might be just a little something. You might have pulled your calf muscle sleeping as you get my age. When you get 45, you wake up and you're just like,
is everything okay?
No, I don't know. I was like, I don't know how I blew my hamstring out, but it must have been a dream.
What about your golfing goals then? As we look to 2020, you're going to get these new 760s through, I hear. You're going to be spinning those 4-irons a bit more into those par 3s. What are the golfing goals as we move forward?
I want to get to the point where I understand the golf swing, the equipment, and that's why this visit here is remarkable. I mean, I've been looking forward to this. I love to, I want to learn, because I don't have the knowledge. I mean, I'm just a baseball player trying to golf, and now understanding it, the putter and the lofts and the drivers and the, 11 degree, 12 degree, it's pretty interesting. And my goal would be, I want to get down to that, just to that 1 or 2 where you can go out to any course and know that you have a chance to shoot par. Yeah. And I don't think I'm there. I could, at your home course, everybody knows the breaks, the greens, but when you show up with new eyeballs, and that's why I love playing, new courses, figure out how to stay in the game, and I don't want to shoot 80 anymore. And it's kind of like I'm at that spot. 100 rounds, I'm 77, 76 to 82, and that's where it be in. And in your good day, you might, drain 5 birdies and you shot 74.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. So I'd like to get down to about a 2.
Is there anything in baseball that's like this? Would you do the guys come and there must be swing weights in bats or weights in bats, or is it a standard across the board? Or
no, it's interesting. So baseball bats are cool. It's like building shafts.
Yeah.
So, you might be a guy 34-inch, 32 ounce is about regular standard, right? Tony Gwynn swung a 32.5-inch bat, 33-inch bat. Barry Bonds swung, so they were shorter, and he choked up, but they were on the plate. Some guys like a heavy bat. They think that, the heavier piece of wood is the harder dent, the wood's going to be harder, so then they cup the top of the bat to take out ounces to make it perfect. That's why you'll see there's holes at the end of baseball bats. But that's what they're doing. They're taking out ounces. Yeah. So I was a 34.5. I liked a little bit longer, and I was a 32-ounce guy because I leaked a little bit. What I mean by that, like I stepped out. So I was on the plate but stepped out with my front foot. Fenway Park kind of ruined that for me because it was 300 to left field and 420 to right center. So it makes you kind of cheat, know. And so I want a little bit longer of a bat to have plate coverage. But it's a very similar dynamic, building clubs and doing baseball bats. And that's what's kind of intriguing to me.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you have media goals? We talk about the golfing goals. When you approach your media side of it, is there anything in there that you're approaching the same as your baseball? Or for you, is it just as we roll with this? Or is there anything you want to achieve on that side?
Yeah, you know what? We're going on, I think it's our 8th or 9th year. Television, you have no idea. It could end tomorrow. And, we might be going 10 years next year. So our show has been fun. Chris Rose, my co-host, is a great guy. He's taught me a lot. He did Best Damn Sports Show with back in the day with Tom Arnold and who was it? Rodney Peete and John Kruk. It was a great show. And so he's been in television for 20 plus years. So he's taught me a lot because I still, to this day, I'm off the seat of my pants. The more information, the more nervous I get. Yeah. If you just tell me some topics, I'm in. Let's go. Yeah, but it's kind of fun. But no real goals other than let's keep this thing going. I mean,
well, we got a topic for you now. It's speed-injected questions. We wrap up all our podcasts with speed-injected questions. Okay. So you'll be good to know. A buddy of mine texted me earlier and said, if I ask anyone else plastic or wooden tees, he's never going to listen to it again. So we've scrapped that question. Okay. That's gone. You would have said wooden. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That one's for you, Plummy. So Torrey Pines or Beth Page?
Whoo, Beth Page.
Would you rather lead the PGA Golf Tour in strokes gained off the tee or strokes gained putting?
Strokes gained putting.
The one course you could play every day for the rest of your life.
Shadow Creek.
Which MLB player would you put money on to beat Steph Curry or Tony Romo in a match?
John Smoltz, Derek Lowe, Mark Mulder.
I'm having the next question then is about your four ball, any four ball that you could have MLB, but those boys just made it. They're in.
They're in.
With you to G them up.
That's it. They're in.
Number of career hole-in-ones?
1. Last year, hole number 15, my baseball number at Summit Rock.
There you go. Amazing how it all comes round. What would you shoot lefty?
212.
You beat me by 1. Favorite TV or Netflix show right now?
What's funny? I'm a terrible TV. The Voice.
Okay.
I'm going with The Voice. I love music.
Mallet or blade guy? Putter.
Mallet.
Beach or the mountains?
Mountains.
One shot in your career you wish you could have a mulligan on, golf and baseball.
Cypress, that par 3 was at 16 or 17. I hit a 3-wood in the water. Then my next one was Knights. I'll take the mulligan on that one, please. That was the only time I've ever played Cypress. And then baseball, or just one or the other?
No, you got to do both.
Baseball mulligan. Give me the 03 Aaron Boone walk-off home run, Game 7. Give me that game. Just give me that game as a mulligan because it was too good of a game to lose to the Yankees that night.
I can feel the pain coming out of you even now. Tell us about Cowboy Up. We got to end with that.
Yeah, Cowboy Up was funny. Derek Lowe, speaking of, he came out of a game with a blister. It was a few weeks left for playoffs. We were kind of fighting for the Oakland A's at that time for the wild card, and he left. The media was all over him, and Derek's a great guy, and he's awesome, and but he literally was bleeding. Anyways, media, they're all on him. I called them over. I said, you guys need to, Cowboy Up, and blah, blah. I started going off on them, and basically the next day the guy came up to me and goes, what's Cowboy Up mean? I go, I don't know. We got a bunch of Cowboys in here, but you guys are too negative here, and we weren't here 86 years, and this is before we won the World Series. And so the next day, the papers, Millar says to Cowboy Up to the media, to the city of Boston, and there was cowboy hats and country music for 6 weeks that year in 03. And that's the 03 years when we shaved our heads and we walked in and we went all the way to Game 7 with the Yankees, and that's when Aaron Boone, Tyler, hit a home run off us in the 12th inning. And there it was.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to Cowboy Up for this afternoon. I'm stoked by it. Guys, awesome podcast. I want to thank you for coming by. A lot of energy. Great to have you in here, and you're welcome anytime at the Kingdom. I speak on behalf of Crowler there who runs it, but I'm telling you, you get a pass. Awesome to have you.
No, appreciate you guys big time. You guys are awesome.
And I also want to thank Tyler Brett for this one. This is the guy who helps us out with all the podcast content. Great script here to help me through. A lot of guys put a lot of effort into these. Comments below, anything that you guys want to hear from any of our guests coming up, just let us know. Rate it 5 stars. You can find the podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. You can find Kevin Millar on Instagram at Kevin Millar15. We are at TaylorMade Golf, and myself is at Trottie Golf from the tour. Guys, thanks for listening. Kevin, thanks for swinging by. Good luck for everything, and enjoy San Diego.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Top man. Cheers.